This is a mock interview conducted by ForumIAS Academy at New Delhi. The interview panel includes eminent academicians, retired bureaucrats, and other luminaries. The objective of the program is to acquaint the candidate with the format and expectations of the personality test conducted by UPSC.
So Ajay, you are a doctor, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Ajay, in Rajasthan, the government of Rajasthan, it has taken a very significant step in the healthcare sector. So it has enacted a right to health, right? Right to health bill has been passed. Now, some of the associations of doctors, they were protesting against this move also. Was there a protest by a group of doctors?
So, sir, this group of doctors mostly included private sector doctors, and
Yes.
the point of contention was in the bill. It says that they have to provide the services, emergency services, free of cost to the patient, and bill doesn't mention the mechanism of compensation to them. So they say it violates their Article 19G, which says the freedom of occupation and to do trade and business in the country. This was the main reason of contention. Another one was regarding another lack of clarity, where it says it is compulsory for doctor to admit a patient and they cannot refuse a patient who comes in emergency. Now this is equally compulsory for all, but a single specialty, for example, an ophthalmologist is concerned, how will he treat a gynae case if it comes to his hospital and the hospital is not multi-specialty? These are the two major concerns, sir.
So what is your opinion on this issue? Should the private hospitals or the private nursing homes, should they also be included under this bill as it is as present, or it needs some changes?
So, I feel, sir, the right to health itself is a visionary move and long overdue. So that has to be achieved. We just have to bring in more clarity in terms of implementation, and the government is also insisting on a further rules to follow up. Once we have clarity how the private doctors will be compensated and how the multi-specialty and specialty distinction will be maintained, I think things will become much more smooth.
Okay, that's good. So you come from Rajasthan, Ajay, and
Yes,
Jaipur. Tell me something that when it comes to Rajasthan, what is the present incidence of child marriage across various districts in Rajasthan? Is the trend reducing? Is there any improvement in the statistics? What is the present status?
yes, sir.
As per the, I think, the crime records data or the data of the state government, what is the present status?
Yes, sir. Sir, as per the latest NFHS survey, it says 26% is the prevalence of child marriage in Rajasthan. So this is a very high number if seen in isolation. But when we see previous NFHS survey 4 and 3, we see the last survey 5 years back, it was 37%. So a 10% decline in child marriage incidence, which is encouraging and which encourages us to do more on this regard.
Okay, fine. You mentioned about water availability, right?
Yes,
What is the present coverage of the Jal Jeevan Mission in Rajasthan? How many districts have been completely covered under it?
Very sorry, sir, don't have the exact data, but I have the information of Jal Shakti Minister's speech, where he said Rajasthan particularly lags behind in implementation of Jal Jeevan Mission. So we are at the bottom of the ladder in this, but I don't have exact data.
Okay.
Recently, let's not go to incidents. Let me ask something about yourself. During your work anywhere, have you ever felt any ethical dilemmas?
Yes, sir. I think at multiple instances I've felt this problem.
Can you describe any them and how did you deal with them with that?
Yes, sir. One was to tell patient whether to continue treatment or not, because I remember a terminally ill patient where we knew the outcomes would be very difficult, but the patient was insisting that I want to invest my whole life saving. Now this is a problem because we are not God, we don't know the final outcome, but this is ethically dicey to tell him what to do. Should he continue or should he take the patient home? So this is one I felt most emotionally turmoiled in this situation.
And did he agree with your suggestion or he didn't?
He agreed with the suggestion, sir. He was sad, but I think he agreed. He went with the wisdom of my senior doctors who prescribed this.
Any other thing you would like to tell about yourself, which shows your suitability to see the civil service?
Yes, sir. Sir, I come from a medical background, but here, not just medicine, I have learned the importance of each breath of human life. I've seen patient dying in front of me. I understand how much it value. So I feel this will be the thing which will motivate me to work in most of the adverse challenges, because I know what a single step taken wrong can cost somebody's breath. So I think I come with this unique dedication for this job. Beyond it, my specialization can, I feel, certainly add flavor to the administration and handle situations like disasters like COVID, which came new, and in other fields also, be it resource management, my expertise of trials can become handy. Also, my hobbies like debating and my leadership positions, which I have enjoyed, uh, be it literary secretary, editor, I think I bring this kind of experience to the table, and with the guidance of the right kind of people like seniors you, I'll certainly add something to the country.
A little bit about our neighbors. China has brokered a peace between Iran and Saudi Arabia.
Yes, sir.
And the two countries were real enemies. What do you think will have impact on West Asia politics, this particular peace deal?
Yes, sir. Sir, it is a big breakthrough looking at the 7 years impasse of relation between these two countries, and particularly increasing Chinese influence and declining US influence in this region can raise certain issues. For example, India was going ahead with I2U2 partnership in the region. Now this faces challenge because of this change in geopolitical situation. Second, because of growing access between Russia, China, maybe Pakistan, Iran, I don't know how it will fold out, but because of increased US pressure, there might be an access creating. So this might complicate
about
things.
West Asia issue. About the West Asia issue. There are so many countries which may be affected by this deal. Which are the countries in the mind which may be affected?
First comes to me is Israel, which has immediate impact on it, and its policies gets affected. Other neighboring countries will also face a brunt, be it the influence on UAE, Bahrain, Oman, other friendly countries to India, because of this increasing Chinese influence and Chinese pressure on these countries.
Saudi Arabia is directly in fight against Yemenis. Don't you think that will have, and the Yemenis are supported by Iranians? Don't you think that will make a difference?
I think there is a possibility of, because the ceasefire is already lasting in Yemen, so there's a possibility of conclusion of war because if the proxy fighting between Iran and Saudi Arabia ceases in Yemen, so we might see peace there.
And in Lebanon and other countries also, Iran has been supporting. Will that also make a difference?
Sir, we should be cautiously optimistic. Yes, on face it appears, but there are more hardline differences.
Tell me another
differences.
Tell me another thing. China took a lead and got it done. We had better relation with Iran and Saudi Arabia. Do you think we lost out? We missed the bus? We could have done it earlier than the Chinese did.
India had excellent relationship with these countries, but of late, because of US sanction and India following the suit with Iran, in case of Iran, we have seen a downtick in the relationship because our Chabar port, which India built on Iran, is yet not fully functional. and the growing Chinese influence. This had 400 billion loan.
But you don't think India missed the opportunity to become a leader in this particular initiative?
I think yes, sir. It's a setback for now, but I feel it is a thing for bigger bargain. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now there is another war going on.
Yes, sir.
Can we have our say? Because again, Chinese are visiting Russia, and people are trying to make some difference in the war. Should India also participate in that? Because India also has relation with both the countries here.
I feel, sir, in this regard, India can and should definitely try to be a peacemaker, because there are experts who, doubt Chinese opinion or the Chinese real intention of peace. They feel China is getting more benefit in war, and it may not seek an early peace. The condition will never be fruitful. But a country like India, which has good relationship with both Russia and Ukraine, and with absolutely zero interest except for ending a war, can be a very suitable mediator and will be respected across the board, sir. So I think India can take a lead in this initiative.
Can or should?
So both, sir. India can also with its capacity, and it should also because of its intent to be next wish guru.
There is a lot of talk about Indian democracy, the quality of democracy in India. Well, I'm not going to into those details, but as a police officer, at present you are in police, isn't it? As a police officer, suppose you are in ED or any CBI or any organization like that, and sort of some politician says he's my enemy and book him somewhere in some false case. How would you react?
So the answer will be an absolute no. But if some opposition politician has a case going on which he has done some crime, I'll proceed with the rule of law.
No, he's not done any crime. He just said he's an enemy and just put him somewhere. Fabricate a case and put him behind the bars.
So that is putting a spade on your own leg, sir, because even if I heed to politicians' word, that will be detrimental for myself and for that politician and for the country. So such action will be very short term also, because I trust judiciary will intervene one day or the other, and the case will fall flat without anything.
Okay.
A lot of controversy has been brewing in Punjab. Are you aware of the issue?
Yes, sir. So there is. Yes, sir.
My question is, what do you think are the long-term implications of this whole issue going on? Long-term implications.
Sir, on long term, I feel it refreshes the memory of the Khalistan movement, which had subsided from the state. It increases a fissure line and can bring in discontentment in this society, and at the same time can be exploited by an opportunistic neighbor who wants to create trouble in the country. So these can be long-term negative consequences, but it will depend on the capacity of leadership to include the public in the Indian identity and to prevent self-interest.
So if you are to suggest a few measures on how to tackle with the immediate threat, along with making sure that the society is carried along and no tension is brewed, so what are the solutions which would you provide?
I like to work on three principal elements here. First, I like to focus on increasing the capacity building of youth, increasing their jobs and their employability, because a free and educated mind is the biggest home for radicalization. This is my personal belief. My second focus will be in bringing the right ideas of religion, because if we read the text of Sikhism, it promotes equality and brotherhood to all, and it never talks about separating the country or fighting in the name of religion. And we have a very strong history of bonhomie in the country and the ideas of secularism in Indian freedom movement. I think these have to be taken to the populace.
What do you think about the cause of the police in capturing the main accused? Why weren't they able to capture him?
Sir, I don't have access to the exact reason, but on face it appears to be intelligence failure and some slippage in the thing. But
okay.
Sir.
Okay. So NSA has been invoked, right?
Yes, sir.
What is the NSA? What are the provisions?
Sure. NSE is a preventive retention law, sir. It says that those elements which can create disturbance in law and order and can be detrimental to the security of the country can be withheld for 2 months pending approval by a committee which comprises of 3 judicial members or bureaucrats, and this is done to prevent the unity of the country or security of the state.
And a few years back, few amendments were done in the NSA Act. Are you aware of the changes done?
Very sorry, sir. I don't recall exactly which change you are referring to.
All right. And do you think the recent fiasco in UK will lead to some strain in India-UK relations?
On longer terms, I think no, sir. Our bond with UK has its own strength, be it economic partnership, the need for tackling the peace in Indo-Pacific or climate change. All the things stands. But yes, on short term, it might bring focus to providing security to our diplomats and their diplomats within the capital, so that such small miscreant acts doesn't occur regularly.
All right. So one of the members of the parliament went abroad and criticized the democracy in India. Do you think that this calls for exempting him on the grounds of giving freedom of speech and expression, or do you think there lies some responsibility that he should have taken care of?
In this regard, sir, I feel every person has freedom of speech and expression to express his idea, his concerns, and his understanding, and he should be exempted from any proceedings based on this. But the point of responsibility should be defined by the electoral system. If a politician says something which harms or which affects the image of the country, let the electorate decide the consequences for him. This is what I think is ideal democracy.
So you are not in favor of any legal action being taken or anything happened to his membership of the parliament?
Sir, in my reading of this text, this doesn't become a case for any breach of privilege or expulsion of member, because until he does something which undermines the dignity of the parliament or cause an impediment in the working of the parliament, he is not liable to be expelled from this thing.
What are the constitutional provisions for privilege of parliamentarians?
If I recall right, sir, it's not mentioned in the constitution. The privileges are taken out of convention. Firstly taken from the British convention, which was followed, and later included in the constitution to say all those privileges which were prevalent at that time should be included. They're not specified in the constitution.
All right. Okay.
Hello, Ajay.
Hello, sir.
Ajay, can you tell us what do you understand from judicial autonomy?
So judicial autonomy is an independence of the organ of judiciary to deliver its judgment without getting affected by other organs of state and public sentiment, and at the same time remain responsible to the constitution of the country.
But that is independence also. How is autonomy different from independence?
Very sorry, sir. I cannot distinguish between two terms. I used to think they are same.
No problem. Ajay, I see there's a certain brazenness in criminals, as I observe, some impunity in offenders. What do you think is the reason for that?
Very sorry, I'm not able to understand
because there are plethora of laws there to act as restraint. However, the criminals and offenders act with impunity and brazenness. Why is the criminal justice system failing to stop these criminals and offenders?
Because I feel, sir, more than the severity of the law, certainty of the law is the need of the hour. And currently, when we see in implementation, there is some discrepancy. For example, lack of modern technologies reduces the amount of evidences against criminals. Lack of witness protection reduces the availability of witness. Judicial pendency of high number of cases makes it a non-ending task to bring a criminal to trial. these are the things which I think reduces the certainty, and hence even the severity cannot deter the crime.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. Let me ask you a situational question.
Yes, sir.
You know that Aurangzeb succeeded Shah Jahan,
Yes, sir.
but are you aware that Aurangzeb was not the first choice of Shah Jahan?
Yes, sir.
What was the first choice?
Dara Shikoh, sir.
What would have happened had the situation of India any different had Dara Shikoh succeeded Shah Jahan?
Sir, there are endless possibilities. The horses of imagination can run anywhere, but I feel Dara Shikoh has few elements which would have changed the course. First, he was more secular, and he was inspired by the ideas of likes of Akbar, not a radical like Aurangzeb. So maybe resentment of Marathas and Rajput states wouldn't have been, or Sikh state wouldn't have been there. So there could have been more cohesion in the country. And if the success of Dara Shikoh would have followed the same line, maybe say a colonial power like British would have been able to enter India. So these are all the possibilities, sir, which could have
Good.
happened, or maybe not.
So Ajay, I was looking at your DEF, and you have been literary secretary and also editor.
Yes, sir.
But in your hobbies, you have not mentioned reading books. You don't like to read books?
Sir, the academic books have taken most all of my time. I'm busy reading for these. Don't get time for a right.
Okay. So Ajay, my last question to you is about asymmetric federalism. What do you understand from it, and how is it helpful for India in Indian context?
So asymmetric federalism is that every unit is federal of a federation. Though India is not a federation, but every unit of a state is not treated equally, but rather based on their capacity, they are taken into care. For example, we can take the example of Finance Commission devolution. It doesn't devolve equal funds to all states, but it takes into parameters. For example, a state in Northeast which has more forest needs fund for conservation of it. So we give it more fund in terms of conservation. A state like Uttar Pradesh with a larger population gets fund for it. A state of Tamil Nadu would get fund because of its better population control measure. So I think a idea which caters to these differences is asymmetric federalism, and it has very significant implication for India, because in India the union is indestructible but states are destructible, and they have different identities, different culture, different geography, different challenges. So and different ideas of integration into India if you look at northeastern state. So I think asymmetric federalism is one uniting force which keeps us together and yet allows our diversities to flourish.
Okay. Thank you, Ajay.